what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Lombardi Time Brews Live. I'm your host, John Delray. Today, we are hanging out talking about Packers versus Rams, or anything that the Packers have going on. My name is John. This is partner and pod partner in life, Claudia, and we're here to chat with you fine folks about the Green Bay Packers. So let's get started. First, we're going to go over their injury report, what happened in practice today, what LaFleur said at his press conference, and even things beyond that. Number one, the Packers had some workouts yesterday. Now, they haven't signed anyone from those workouts as of yet, but they did hold them. One workout was quarterback Gavin Hardison, a wide receiver, Leatrick Griffin, and then also, notably and newsworthy, two kickers. One was Lucas Haversick, who's done some kicking before in the league, and then the other was Chad Ryland, who spent much of the preseason with the Patriots. Well, we'll have to see if the Packers actually do anything with Ryland because he ultimately signed with the Cardinals practice squad this morning. Keep in mind the Packers do still have Narveson on the roster. They haven't made any moves there. And they do still have Alex Hale as their IPP player on the practice squad as well. Then just one other transaction bit of news for you that Matt LaFleur acknowledged in the press conference today. Big old defensive tackle Jonathan Ford. He was on the IR designated to return list to open up the season. Well, now he has been designated for return. They are officially opening up his 21-day practice window. So with Kobe Wooden being made inactive, a healthy scratch for the last 3 weeks, you got to wonder just how far has Kobe Wooden fallen? Is there an actual opportunity for Jonathan Ford to come in and repave out a spot on this roster for himself? So we will find out. His practice window is now open. All right, so Claudia, let's hear that injury report. What happened today for the Packers?
All right, players that were limited would be Edgerrin Cooper, Jordan Love, Jordan Morgan, and Carrington Valentine. The following Packers did not practice. That would be Jair Alexander, Elton Jenkins, Luke Musgrave, Christian Watson, Devontae White, and Kenny Clark.
Yeah, again, a little bit longer of a list than you like to have, but I gotta say, like, as we are approaching the Rams game, if there is one team that will not care at all about what the Packers have going on in injury, it's the Rams, because we're going to cover that on Friday. That team is broken, y'all. So to just recap this list a little bit, like looking at the limiteds, none of them are shocking. However, it is noteworthy that Jordan Morgan is at least back for some kind of practice capacity. That's a big deal. But then the DNPs, this is the long list you don't want. Now, Elton Jenkins was on that DNP. Matt LaFleur said today that it was because of a knee injury. It wasn't just a vet rest day. However, the reporters then went and asked Elton Jenkins at Old Soccer, and Elton Jenkins just said, yeah, I'm fine. So, maybe not much to look into there. In terms of Christian Watson, LaFleur reiterated today that it is not expected that there's going to be an IR stint for Christian Watson. He even used the words, they dodged a bullet. So Watson should be back soon. The same cannot necessarily be said about Devontae Wyatt. When asked specifically about Wyatt, LaFleur said they don't know yet, that they need to still see how it shakes out. And that will determine whether Wyatt has an IR stint ahead of him or not. But LaFleur did say that he's in good spirits, so take it for what it's worth. Kevin Kebbels, how you doing? What you got?
Says, well, we got the 4-touchdown and nearly 400-yard game. Not how I imagined it.
Man, I know everyone said it already, but it's so true. Like him walking up in a Favre jersey. He didn't have to do the Favre stats with the Favre jersey. But yeah, like we talked last week about what would we rather have happen, like Malik Willis having another saying, or Love, like air it out, let Love get back into the MVP race. Second half Love looked like that. First half Love looked like first half season Love last year, and that was quite problematic. I mean, ultimately though, that Vikings game was just wild with the goods and the bads and everything in between.
Also saying that spicy take still, the hand in the dirt is hindering the edges. Our best rusher is standing up. What a wild world to live in, I suppose.
Yeah, which is so puzzling when it comes to Rashawn Gary. Because, like, he had his hand in the dirt all the time at Michigan. This isn't foreign to him. Preston Smith had time with his hand in the dirt previously. LVN has had time with his hand in the dirt previously at Iowa. Like, all these guys have done it before. So, like I talked about on Monday, obviously something is going on with Rashawn Gary. But what? I know, like, Aaron Nagler from Cheesehead TV, he posted all of the third down snaps for Rashawn Gary, and it was evident that, like, no, Gary isn't getting double teamed all the time, but he is getting double teamed a lot on pass downs, okay, which makes sense, but still, There were also several times in that game, maybe they were first down, second down, I don't recall, but where he was washed out of a play by just a tight end. And that's not what you've come to expect for Rashawn Gary. So something here is going on, and Packers got to crack that code real soon.
Got Augusto saying my running backs are Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins. My wide receivers are London, Rice, Neighbors, Godwin, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, and my tight end is Bowers. Would you do London, Deontay Johnson, or Godwin for Tyreek? He wants only one.
Okay. My friend, I specialize really in Packers, but I do know a little bit of fantasy, and I got to say, I would probably personally feel most comfortable moving on from Deontay Johnson, just because with the swing that he's on right now feels a lot to me like Adam Thielen's swing last year, where he was uber productive for a stretch of time. And I like Johnson as a wide receiver, but are they really going to let Dalton start all season long? If they switch back to Bryce Young, then his production could go right back down. I feel like that's the highest variable one versus the others. You can expect some kind of floor of production. Deontay Johnson, I don't think you can say the same thing.
Kevin Keble saying also dig the glasses.
Thank you, sir. I think this is my very first time wearing them on the show, but yeah.
Peter is saying hi, Claudia. I love your Lombardi brand new style.
Oh, well, thank you, Peter. I hadn't even considered that. I mean, I've had these for like 5 years. Yeah. So it's just, eyes really, they didn't want the contacts today. That's all.
The hat and the trench coat, you're good.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for Halloween.
Kevin Kibbles, did we ever learn why Jacobs was taken out for a while?
Not that has been said anywhere. I gotta believe it's predominantly just based in game flow. Like, I have a feeling if LaFleur was pressed, that's what he would go with. And LaFleur does, or should, trying to think of the right word, has had historically a pattern of using running backs for an entire drive, right? We used to get really frustrated when Dillon would come in for Jones and he would disappear for a quarter. I think it was LaFleur just falling into a bad habit again. Not that Emmanuel Wilson is bad, but giving an Emmanuel Wilson like a whole stretch of time versus a play here or there. My suspicion is that that's what occurred with Jacobs. I have not seen anything for a reason to believe that there was some kind of injury or that they liked Wilson in the matchup better. I think it was just Wilson was in and they wrote it out. I got to go with that's what I'm thinking there. So if you were curious about the Los Angeles Rams and what they've got going on, I could just give you a quick little preview. Of course, all of these diving in much more thoroughly on Friday. But in terms of run defense, they're 32nd in the league in run defense now. In terms of pass defense, 21st in pass defense. And by the way, some of these numbers for the Rams, like this is season long, so 4 weeks. If you want to go over just the last 3 weeks, some of them get worse. I'll cover that on Friday. 28th in rushing offense and 8th in passing offense. However, over the last 3, as Cooper Kupp has fallen off and Puka have gotten hurt, they're now 19th in passing offense over the last 3. In terms of turnovers, 21st, negative 0.3 turnover margin per game. They are giving up 3.3 sacks a game, and they are getting only 1.7. So I know the line on this game is still like, it's close, like -3. I gotta say, my expectations are that Green Bay should win this game and win it fairly handedly. So
Kevin Keble saying thought it had something to do with pass pro. Interesting.
In terms of Jacobs versus Wilson, I mean, maybe, but in terms of comparing Jacobs versus Wilson in terms of pass pro, Matt LaFleur has spoken glowingly the last 2 weeks about Emmanuel Wilson and how much he's improved in terms of pass protection. But it's not like Josh Jacobs is a complete disaster there. You know, really the worst of the 3 is Lloyd. And obviously we're not worrying about him right now. So I don't know. It would feel odd, feel like LaFleur was stepping too far in a certain direction to boot your more effective runner out of the game in favor of pass pro, when the difference between Jacobs and Wilson in terms of pass pro is not really enough to move the needle, in my opinion, and really make that happen. So
Kevin Kibble saying it's been decades since Green Bay has won against the Rams in California, if I recall, but I'm not the best in NFL history stuff outside of Green Bay.
Is not the best. Yeah, it's been a long time. So ever since LaFleur has taken over, the Packers have really dominated the Rams over their last, I believe it's 4 matchups off the top of my head, and since like 2019 on. Packers recently have done very, very well against the Rams. However, every single one of those games has been in Green Bay. In California, it's been a long time. 1968, I think, is the exact year. Now, of course, Packers and Rams don't play every year, but that's still less than stellar. If you got to date back to Lombardi or right after Lombardi to find a stat, it's not good. And you are correct, Captain Kebbles. It has indeed been that long for the Green Bay Packers to be victorious against the Rams in California. So, all right. Well, that is all of the news of the day. So this is your midweek check-in. We'll hang out for just 1 minute more, see if anybody's got anything else. Otherwise, I kind of suspect the day might be a little bit more brief. Oh, here we go. Peter, bonjour.
Saying sounds pretty much easy to win that one indeed, although the LA Rams' kicker is way better than you know who.
Yeah. Hey, man, there's still hope for Narveson. He's young.
We treating Narveson like Voldemort at this point? Not even saying his name?
He's up there with Carlson status, apparently. Yeah, the thing is, like, especially taking into account where the Rams are injury-wise. I mean, Puka's on IR. Cooper Kupp, not on IR, already has been ruled out for the game. Their offensive line has been a rotating carousel, not just of backups, but going into the third string for the Rams. Like, there's been times where they've employed like some of their emergency guys over the first couple of games. And it should be noted that it is expected that Reeder, Demarcus Robinson, the wide receiver, and Alaric Jackson, their starting left tackle, are all probably going to be limited throughout the course of the week. But McVay has already said that all 3 of them are expected to play. Still, though, on their offensive line, that gives them Jackson at left tackle, who is banged up. Left guard, Jonah Jackson, well, he's now on IR. They wanted Steve Avila to be their starting center. He's on IR. And then you got Kevin Dotson, who's missed periods of game at right guard. And then you got Rob Havenstein, who's missed right tackle. He missed game 1. He's been banged up ever since, but he's at least playing at right tackle. It has been a carousel. Taking into account Tyler Higbee, still at tight end, still on the PUP list for them. They've had injuries in their secondary as well. Broken is really the only word to describe. So the Rams, when you look at every phase of this game, I know the Rams, LaFleur gave them credit today for having excellent effort over the last couple of weeks. But with what they've been trotting out lately and what the Packers are able to do, especially if you look at the second half against Minnesota, when the team really looked like itself again, gotta believe that they're going to be superior in almost every realm against the Rams.
Kevin Kibble saying tired. Trade for Adams. Wired. Trade for the good Carlson.
Yeah. What I saw some on Twitter proposing, like, well, if you're going to call about Adams, you might as well throw in the kicker. I mean, yeah, at this, like, let's say the Packers do want to move on from Narveson. I think they're going to give him a little bit more time yet, but let's just say hypothetically they do want to move on. There probably is something to it of, like, rather than trying another UDFA, another street free agent, another tryout guy, isn't there something to be said for, like, trade a mid-round draft pick to a losing team, to a team that knows it doesn't have a shot this year? Let them deal with a UDFA kicker that nobody likes. And go get yourself an accomplished vet. See if it works. Maybe this is the year for that if they settle on Narveson as indeed not the guy. I'm more open to it now than I ever would have been in the past, for sure.
Also, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. I just got reminded that kind of week.
We get it, man, but very, very sincerely, happy birthday to you, Captain Kettles. Hope it's a beautiful one for you.
And to quote the movie Atlantis for the Rams, all right, speak you. Who's not dead?
Very few. Stafford's still there. He's hanging on.
Peter's saying, any guesses on Devontae's next destination?
Man, I gotta believe that the Raiders are not gonna want to trade him in the AFC. Like, maybe it'll wind up being the Jets, but I think in terms of, to bring back that old word from a couple years ago, leverage, the Raiders are gonna charge AFC teams more. So you're looking at the Jets, the Steelers, which I think both make a world of sense, but Raiders they're going to want extra payment to trade him in conference. The Chiefs is a non-starter. Like Devontae's not going to the Chiefs. And then you look at the NFC and it's like the Commanders can make some sense. That would be a lot of fun. Honestly, I hate this, but the team that probably makes the most sense in a lot of different ways would be Detroit. No. That's all going to go.
Kevin Kibble's not sure if the Packers offense figured out the Vikings defense or the Vikings defense is more flawed than Purple fans admit. Let's just score 50 versus the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for like LaFleur and Love have done very, very well against Flores predominantly. Now, half one was a disaster, right? Half two, that began to look again like the Packers that we came to expect in the second half of last year. So the question to really answer that, or say viably, have the Packers figured out the Vikings defense, was half one because the Vikings defense is that good? Or was it because of Jordan's knee or rust or really several other factors that came into play, or just that classic quicksand thing like we've seen have happened to the Packers in those games? And you know exactly which ones I'm talking about, where we're 4 minutes in and we all just sit back and go, oh my God, it's one of those weeks. Right? Where just every single possible thing is happening and then you're just screwed. So at least credit the Packers for fighting back in. But in order to say whether they figured them out or not, kind of tough with that first half mixed in there.
Peter's saying Devontae to Detroit makes too much sense.
Yeah, they have the money. They have the picks. And he would fit in fantastically in that offense. I hate it. I want absolutely nothing to do with that in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. I can tell you, I just don't think it's Green Bay. Now, I did see one tweet. It went around very, very briefly before it was deleted. But Greg Greer, I've never really heard of him, but apparently he's for CABS and TNT Sports. He put out something that the Packers have called about Devontae, and then it was deleted real quick after that. So I'm inclined not to really believe that that's true, and I just have a very hard time believing. Like, Devontae next year is due something like $30 million in cap. He's entering his age 33 season. Plus, look at the Packers wide receiver core. Like, they like them. They're not looking to bring in Devontae into that. So I can't see it in Green Bay. That I can tell you with some certainty, Peter, for sure. All right, everybody. So it is time for us to head on out of here. We're going to go pick up a little guy. I will see you on Friday when I dive into the numbers, do a deep dive of Packers versus Rams. As I said earlier, the Packers should win this game, and they should win it handedly. I'll explain why on Friday. Oh, we got one more sneaking in before the buzzer.
Kevin Kibbles, I dislike the Adams to Lions timeline. Let us go back to the Lions as we know them. Much more comfortable.
Let's make them lovable losers again.
Yes.
Right? That's the version of the Lions that we like the best. All right, everybody, we're out of here. Have a fantastic couple of days. I'll see you on Friday. And as always, go Pack.